This month I was supposed to make a podcast and almost failed, but I did finish Baldur's Gate 3, so let's talk about that instead. Before I get into Baldur's Gate though, I actually realised that last month I completely forgot to mention that I've been playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Think I'm finally getting near the end of it now. I'm not totally sure, but if I am, I'm honestly kind of glad. I don't dislike the game. Everything with the story I actually enjoy, but I just really hate all of the minigames. There's just like so many of them and they never stop. So far I've done every side quest, and so many of them just boil down to playing some random minigame for a bit, and then there's all of the open world tasks which are just some other type of minigame every time. I think the worst one is the racing one in the Gold Saucer, not the Chocobo racing. I don't particularly enjoy that, but it's fine. I mean the one where you're on a motorbike, because it just controls like shit. It was really easy, but it felt terrible. That's probably like the worst one in the game. The one that I actually hate the most, though, is anything to do with the Moogles. It would help if the Moogles weren't utterly hideous, but they're hideous, and it's just not fun. And there's little stuff they can do where, like, some of them will shoot projectiles which will stop you in your place, and if you get hit 3 times, you fail and you have to start again. The issue I've got is that sometimes you will be, like, practically touching one when it'll turn around and shoot you, and there is no time to react to that. You roll to dodge the projectile. So the number of times I've rolled and dodged a projectile only for it to fire at me as I'm coming out of the roll, and there's just nothing I can do. It's just not enjoyable, and each one gets progressively worse. Luckily, I know for a fact I've finished all of them now, but each one is worse than the last because sometimes they add more Moogles, but then eventually they start adding a time limit, and then the time limit gets tighter, and it's just doing an already bad thing under a tighter and tighter time limit every time. I just hated it. There's a couple of minigames which aren't bad, but the only one I can say I actually enjoy is Queen's Blood, except Queen's Blood is like wrapped in this like whole story thing, which is interesting, but they have this weird filter that they put over the screen during the Queen's Blood related cutscenes. It's just like a noise filter, but it looks awful, and I actually can't look at my TV while it's on. That might be more of an issue just because I've got a really big TV. Maybe if it was a smaller TV, it would bother me less, but I've got like a 60-inch TV, and that filter over the entire screen, over that much space, it just makes my eyes really uncomfortable. The actual Queen's Blood game, I really enjoy though. I would quite like it if they just release a Queen's Blood game on its own. That would be nice. Also, Fort Condor, I'm less interested in Fort Condor, but it's still pretty good. But I would actually be pretty happy if I could play Queen's Blood properly. I think it would just be a better game. Like if it was more linear, without all the open world stuff. It just doesn't need it. I don't mind the open world spaces, but the stuff they've filled them with just feels like pissing about. Like, there's so much faffing around with the game, it would just be more fun if it was a tighter, more linear game. So I mentioned in the intro that I almost didn't make my podcast this month, and that wasn't through like a lack of interest. It was actually because of Baldur's Gate 3. I am recording this on the Wednesday, less than 48 hours before it's supposed to come out, which for me is very, very late. The reason for that is because usually the way my week works is Sunday I'll make all my videos for the week, and then on a week with a podcast, on the Monday, I will either write my notes for the podcast or record it if I've already done that. And then Tuesday is either record it or editing it. And then Wednesday, Thursday is editing it. And Friday is anything else that needs doing, just loading it and everything. So usually by this point, I'll already have been about halfway done with the editing process. And this time I've only just started recording. And that's because this week, I really wanted to get Baldur's Gate 3 finished. So on Sunday, I just finished it. I was pretty close to the end of it at that point anyway, and it was about the last like 4 hours that I did on Sunday. I think I was about 116 hours when I started that day, and I was almost dead on 120 hours when the credits finished rolling. So that's 120 hours in the actual save, plus another 32 hours of me replaying stuff. Not like save scumming, I did a little bit of that, not as much as you'd expect from that amount of time. It was actually mostly times when there was one time when I lost a save due to one of the patches being rolled back. That was quite early on, and I replayed some of the game then. I actually didn't need to do that, but I did. There was a couple of times when I died. Like, there was one time in the, what's it called, like the Temple of Shara or something, when I like fell off a cliff, and I couldn't work out how to get back, and I ended up reloading my save and playing that again, but it meant like replaying an hour of the game I'd just done or something, so just stuff like that. It feels weird because I feel like I've spent a lot of time in it, and I did like everything, but at the same time I feel like there's so much stuff I missed. There's a couple of characters I didn't recruit. Like, I didn't recruit Minthara because I killed her. And I'm sure there are others, but I don't actually know. But I recruited everyone I knew was a character, and I did all of their quests. but I also didn't really spend any time with any of them except for the 3 that I really liked. Basically, from the second I got them, Lae'zel was part of my team, and then Shadowheart was part of my team, and then Karlach was part of my team, and that was my team. From basically the second I unlocked those 3. Like, granted, you start with Lae'zel, and then you pretty much start with Shadowheart, so I was already with those 2. And then I think I had Astarion for a little bit, and Gale for a little bit, and I think Karlach was the last of the party members I actually unlocked, because up until the point when I unlocked her, I had been recruiting and swapping out that 3rd character just to try them all out, and then I unlocked Karlach, and Karlach stayed in my party for the entire rest of the game, to the point where even if I needed to swap out for someone else, I swapped out either Lae'zel or Shadowheart, depending on if the person I was swapping out had healing, I'd swap out Shadowheart, and if they didn't, I'd swap out Lae'zel, like that sort of stuff. But I just feel like I could have spent more time with other characters. Like, everyone really likes Astarion, and I thought it was fine. Like, to be clear, I don't dislike him. I just don't like have the same connection to that character as a lot of other people do, mostly because I didn't spend that much time with him. I'm going to save my other opinions about the game for the Game of the Year list, which is going to be coming soon, but I definitely really enjoyed the game. It's really good. I will be getting to work on my Game of the Year video for 2023 finally, but it definitely won't be next month. As much as I'd like for it to be, it won't. The reason for that is that next month I'm actually doing a talk at a convention all about like time management, and I already know that I can work on both of them simultaneously. That's fine. But I definitely won't be able to get the script for this and the presentation for that both done next month at the same time. So I will be obviously doing the presentation for that because that functionally matters the most. And then I'll be writing the script for my Game of the Year video at the same time. So I'll have a different video for next month, and then hopefully the Game of the Year script will be finished, and then I can make the video, and that'll be for June at this point. It's actually a presentation I started making a few years ago with the idea that I'd try to do it at GDC, but honestly, even if they let me, I don't think I could afford to go. At the very least though, the presentation will be good practice for if I do get to do more talks like this, even if the audience isn't exactly who I'd usually aim for. I'm mostly just doing it because my wife is doing a talk at the same place, so I'm going to be there anyway, and it was just somewhat for me to do. And I was like, I can modify this talk very slightly to fit this clientele instead. So I applied, and I didn't think I'd get it, and I did. So I'm doing it there. I applied to do it at 3 different places, but I'm only doing it at the one. That being said, I'm definitely doing it at this one, and the other 2 take place after this one. So there is always the chance that if someone drops out of the other 2, I'll do mine then. I doubt it, but it's technically possible. But honestly, it's like I say, it's just somewhat for me to do while I'm there anyway. As for more immediate things with the channel, Coffee Talk episode 2 has finished now. In about an hour from when this goes up will be the sentence for that, and then that's that completely finished. I've got my customary week off, and then I'll be starting the new LP, I think it's the 7th of May it's going to start. Well, technically start one of the episodes of the half hours next week like I always do, but the actual first episode will be, I think, the 7th of May. Streams are going to continue, that's fine. I did the Yokai Watch thing today, as in the day this comes out, so I actually don't know what it's like yet. Right now, I'm hoping that it's going to take me more than a week to do it, which it probably will, because I've heard that it's quite involved, just because it means I can put off doing Blue Mage stuff even longer. Half hours continuing as normal. I did think for a while that I was going to have to stop doing sponsored videos for a bit, just because I hadn't gotten any new keys for a while. So I was thinking, oh, I might have to stop doing that, and then literally like the day after I got offered 5 new keys. So that had given me enough to do all of April with, and then since then I've had a few more as well. That seems to be going okay, for me. Everything's been doing a bit better as well recently, which is nice. I've been getting more views in more places and getting followers again in places, so it's nice. I'm still not up to the sort of level of views I was getting consistently last year on YouTube at least, but I am on TikTok. On TikTok I'm doing way better, so it balances out. That being said, with the sponsored stuff, the way that works is like, I get all my keys through Keymailer, which you can probably tell if you just look at the tweets and all the sponsored posts, it says it in them, except for the 2 ever that I've gotten through the Steam Curator Connect. So I got them all from Keymailer, and the way Keymailer works, you connect your accounts to it, and then it updates itself automatically with what videos you've put up, and then if it's connected to a key that you've been given by them, they go, oh, you've definitely made this, and then it's sort of like a tick for your channel sort of thing. But if you don't make a video you say you're going to make, you like lose points essentially, and it like does damage to your channel reputation. This hasn't been a problem for me so far. I've made a video on every single key that I've been given, except for a couple of VR only games, which I accepted with the intention of, I'm planning to at some point get a VR headset. It's just when I've got the space to use it. So I'll make those videos then. Those are ones that I never requested. It works a little bit differently if someone gives you a key. If you go out of your way to request a key, you have to make the video. If someone sends you a key, you can maybe do it, maybe not. So the issue I've got is that their tracking is automatic and recently is broken for me, so it's just stopped tracking my TikTok. And considering that is where all the companies want my videos to go, them not tracking it is causing me problems. I've sent them a message, just being like, it's kind of broken, but they've not said anything back yet, and it's been a couple of days now. So I'm going to send them another one with like, urgently tag things if you need to, which I haven't done so far, but I will do, and just be like, you're not tracked my thing, and I'm like, coming up on the due date for this video, but I made it 2 weeks ago at this point. What's going on? And it's actually kind of annoying, because the video that isn't tracked is one that did better than normal. So you'd think they'd be happier with it, but I don't know. I'm hoping it gets fixed, but it's entirely out of my hands. If we ignore their tracking issues, everything else is going better for me, so that's nice. Special thanks to all of my patrons. You can join them over at patreon.com/Holden Gatsby, and for $1 a month you'll get to see what I'm working on early and get exclusive roles in my Discord along with other rewards I might think of. You can also just follow me there if you want to for free, as it's probably the best place to see all of my content as soon as it's available. There's links to the Patreon along with my Discord, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, and all the other podcast platforms in the description for this episode. Finally, don't forget you can email me using podencastby@gmail.com if you've got anything you want to say. Thanks for sticking around. Bye. Special thanks to my patrons, Justin Wood, Hobbs, and Koopy Vegeta. You can join my patrons at patreon.com/Holden Gatsby, check out my TikTok and Twitter at Holden Gatsby, and follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Holden Gatsby. Don't forget to subscribe to all of my channels. If you want more, you can watch my last video now, but if not, then thanks for sticking around. Bye.